Hi, my name is Ren Bin, and I'm doing my bachelor's in international marketing, and my course for this presentation is globalization and emerging markets. This is my presentation on the topic of privatization of telecommunication sector. I will use a case study of Telebrás and the telecom sector in this presentation. In this presentation, we shall look into how privatization of the telecommunication sector in Brazil, and especially of the case of Telebrás, enrich the key stakeholders. The different initial impacts such as process may have on the government, embassies, and citizens will be considered, as all of these players have the vested interest in the phenomenon in question. uh, Analyze the consequence of privatization is helpful to comprehend why so many and so vast potential markets consider this particular process to be of paramount importance, have quite a few characteristics, including lack of capital, poor infrastructure, permitted by private investment and government debts. Initially, it will give some background to Brazil's overall liberalization, particularly in relation to the telecommunication sector. Secondly, I will explain the consequences for each stakeholder. I will touch on regulatory issues, present a case of Telebrás, and then conclude and make recommendations. Privatization. Privatization entails the transference of control over public service or access to the private sector. This strategy is common because there's a need to cut down the government expenditure, improve productively, and entice investors by way of foreign direct investment to FDI. For instance, Brazil is an emerging economy and faces the problem in limited resources and back infrastructure that some forms of privatization and rely on to enable funds to be allocated to other services. In the 1990s, Brazil's telecommunication sector, which was up until then managed as a public sector monopoly by Telebrás, was supplying outdated and inefficient systems, providing poor and limited service, particularly in rural areas. Consequently, in 1998, Reinha has, and as a consequence, the State Investor Corporation decided to give up control of Telebrás and several regional carriers and try to make them complete for signal areas. As a result, the telecom sector has grown and developed at a fast pace ever since, largely due to the employment of advanced technology alongside additional private investment. The Brazilian government, like many of its contemporaries, seeks to decrease its state burden, foster economic development, and enhance the provision of public service through privatization for multinationals. However, privatization is not only a political and sometimes economic issue, but also opens a large, fast-growing market for modern tech communications, which is in acute demand. And this is where the local customers and workers begin to feel the effects as they contend with changes in the service quality, price, as well as employing opportunities. Looking at each of these stakeholders separately, it will be possible to see who and how benefits from the efforts aimed at privatization of such a key sector as telecommunication. The privatization of Telebrás helped the Brazilian government to obtain about 19 billion, which could help to reduce the national debt and fund other projects. High public debt is also a characteristic reflected in many emerging markets such as Brazil. Thus, by aiming for the privatization of the telecom ventures, the debt levels of the government would be low, allowing the administration to concentrate on more vital areas, which in case are health and education. Usually, private establishments are more motivated towards enhancing efficiency and quality of work. When it was privatized, Telebrus was better managed with less red tape, and as a result, services improved. After privatization, the state created new structures and frameworks, such as Anatel, to regulate the telecom market and maintain health completion and service quality in the sector. Brazil's demographics paint a picture of a young energy country with more than 200 million people, an emerging middle class, and rise in the consumption of telecommunication and internet services. One such multinational that made a move into this geography was Telephonic. Telephonic. A lot of change took place, and because of government trends, the government decided to liberalize the market. Things such as AT&T and the American Mobile didn't take long before commercial operations and growing cutting-edge technologies are brought out to life and attract more clients to the business. Even for instance, when considering the case of telephone, the company enhanced its networks, improved mobile territory significantly, and implements active attraction strategies, growing its client base incredibly well. After the coming in of privatization, Telefunken SPA started expanding to Brazil and soon become one of the biggest telecom providers in the country. This enabled it to develop new service in Brazil's telecommunications market, developing technologies that enhance the quality of service and their denomination. Following the shift to market-oriented economy, private operators have significantly applied capital towards technological innovations, resulting in improved network coverage as well as quality of service. Presently, it boasts one of the most mobile coverage networks in the world. Long before the onset of privatization, access to telecommunication service was quite broad-based but limited access to majority of the populace, particularly in rural regions. In the case of privatization, companies were able to further dollars for these purposes, to include even the areas which before weren't economically fight to telephone company for. The growth in the number of telecommunication companies within Brazil has provided the consumers with cheaper price, particularly in mobile and international services. Citizens have many options available with good prices. Before the Tebras and privatized, only about 14% of the Brazilian population had access to telephone lines. After this process, the access was very rapid, revolutionizing the development of social and even geographical landscapes, particularly in the case of the large territories and lower density urban areas. Privatization sometimes leads to price hikes as companies recoup investment costs. In Brazil, telecom prices initially rose, though competition has since brought them down. With privatization, governments lose some control over essential services. Telecom is critical industry that impacts uh, national security, and too much reliance on foreign firms may pose risks. Um, Brazil's telecom industry faced challenges such as political instability and regulatory changes, which can impact MNC's stability and profit margins. Effectively, privatization requires balance of benefits and regulations to ensure fair prices, high service quality, and affordable access. Uh, Regulations are essential to protect consumers from unfair practice and ensure that companies meet service standards. The HC National Telecommunicators Anatel was established to oversee the industry, regulating price competition, and ensure that rural areas receive adequate service. Anatel has intervened to keep price competitive and uphold standards, ensuring that the benefits of privatization and shared equitably across different social classes and regions. Established as a state-owned company, Telebrás monopolized Brazil's telecom sector until late 1990s. In 1998, the government split Telebrás into multiple entities and sold shares to both domestic and foreign investors, leading to the entry of MNCs. Outcomes for shareholders for the government, revenue generations, and public debt monetization have been significant. For MNCs, new market for Telefoco Africa, Movil, and other companies were created. For citizens, improved quality of service and access, although some areas experience higher traffic and onset. India's telecom sector also benefited from privatization, expanding rural access and reducing service prices. Brazil can draw on these examples to improve this regulatory practice and enhance service reach and affordability. Many emerging markets face similar in infrastructure and access challenges. Privatization offers lessons on achieving development goals while managing local needs. The privatization of Telebrás illustrates how Brazil's telecom sector has evolved to benefit the government, MNCs, and citizens. Though challenges remain, privatization has led to substantial improvements in accessibility and service quality. The telecom sector will continue to grow, but ongoing oversight is essential to ensure that the benefits reach all stakeholders. Privatization in emerging markets can drive economic growth, technique advanced, and improve service when carefully managed. Ensure balanced regulations that foster competition and protect consumers, promote promote partnerships among the government, local companies, and embassies for sustainable industrial growth. Align telecom growth with Brazil's Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs), ensure that it's expanding equitable and socially beneficial. Thank you for listening. I hope you like my presentation. Bye.